Every product has an expiry date. And after this date, it gets unenjoyable, sometimes really ugly. Now imagine you would have such an expiry date for your boss. Good idea, right? And some of you might think your boss is already over it. This is my expiry date. In 64 days, my time as CEO of our company will be over. And people have to judge if I'm still fresh enough for another period. You know why? In our company, every employee votes for his or her boss on a yearly basis. And I'm an elected CEO. This sounds like a crazy idea, an experiment, right? I'm here to tell you it's not. 10 years ago, I started in our company. And I have to say it was a tough start. Guess what? I failed the entry-level assessment test. It was so embarrassing, really. But the next day, the HR lady called me and told me, Mark, normally we just hire really smart guys, but you're an interesting one and I give you a chance. And she offered me a trainee position for 1,000 Swiss francs a month. I got shocked by the offer. But I agreed. I took the offer out of two reasons. First, because I had already fallen in love with the company, with the culture, the people, and the vision. And second, because I wanted to prove that their assessments were wrong. What happened was a brilliant roller coaster. In the last 10 years, we grew to up to 200 people on a global scale, and we had so many great emotional moments while doing that. But 3 years ago, the best moment in my business life happened. Herman, the co-founder and CEO of our company, asked me for a beer. And I got shocked the second time in my business life. He outlined, Mark, for the next stage of our company, I believe we need different kind of leadership. We get more complexity, we get a bigger size, we're going more global. So I believe as well that the CEO position have to change. And I believe that you would make it much better than I would be capable to do. Obviously, I got amazed by this offer, and I shared tremendous of respect for Herman to step down as a CEO. Even the company grew so strongly. But as I told you, I got shocked, so why? He continued and said, Mark, but this is only my opinion, and I'm only one employee. So if you want, and if you agree, we go for elections. So people can vote for you or against you. And if you win the majority, you will have a perfect start in your CEO career. And if not, easy as that, I'm just looking for another candidate. I agreed the second time with my full passion because we experienced in the past so many good things when we trust people, when we give people a voice. And we experimented a lot with democracy at work. But I'm here to tell you the real truth. And if I was really honest with myself, I couldn't sleep the day after. I was so scared about these elections. And all these questions drove me crazy. Questions like, am I capable to be a CEO? Am I capable to fulfill the expectation the company have on this role? But as well, questions like, what if people don't vote for me? Am I really capable to come back to business day by day, knowing that all others have not voted for me? Can I fight my own ego? Tough questions. So I ask, like every time, my wife about her opinion. And she told me, Mark, forget about this stupid idea. Democracy is a quite good system in politics, and especially the Swiss guys believe that it's really good. But in business, it will fail. Normally, I listen to my wife. But this time, we didn't. We tried it out. We take the risk and go for election. So I had to apply the second time in the same company. God thanks without an assessment time. But I had to prepare a 20 minutes election speech. Like today, it was way harder to prepare to hold than this TED Talk, obviously, because I had to outline the strategy, how I fit in the role, but as well where are my strengths and weaknesses. And even better, I had to prepare a development plan how to become a good CEO. After this 20 minutes talk, there was a really intense Q&A session, and people asked me what they expect from me and asked me a lot of tough questions. It was the best coaching I have ever received because of these questions. I understood what's really behind this position. But the toughest part was that I had to go out. People asked me to leave the room. And to sit in front of this door, not seeing what's happening behind, and knowing exactly that 100 people are discussing about my future, as well all my mistakes I did in the past, but as well the good thing, hopefully, I was really nervous about. After 1 hour, they called me in again. And just imagine this tough moment where you got in and you see all the people, and you see as well on the beamer an empty pie chart. And on this pie chart as well, immediately animated, the results were coming, and it was such an emotional moment to see that 85% of people voted for me, believed in me, trusted me, even if I was really open and told as well that I'm unsure to go in this role. And probably this very big moment was the biggest gift I ever received, because I could start the first day in a CEO role knowing exactly that I have all this energy in my back and knowing as well what people expect from me. Obviously, it was a little bit pressure on my shoulders, but that's good, right? That's bosses are for. But I could start working on this and had not to fool around with internal politics. Normally, CEOs get installed by their board and they have to explain the first days why they are appointed and not me. So probably this was the reason for the biggest miracle in our company history. Some months later on, one manager asked, after all the financial stuff, "Marc, can I get elected as well?" And immediately all the others joined his opinion and asked, "We want to run election for every position on a yearly basis." And just think about what this means. In my case, it was tough, okay. But it's a complete other game to go for election if you're already in a role, right? And I shared tremendous of respect for these people. It worked pretty well. Most of the managers and leaders got confirmed and has as well this energy in their back, as well the trust of the people. But we had as well a few managers who get voted out their roles. And I'm really proud to say here that these managers are still in our company and developed themselves much better than in their existing leadership role and are happier and more successful than ever. So you might ask now the question, but how to run elections? How does this work? And we did a lot of experience and just want to share one. The first thing we always start with is answering the question, what's leadership about? And it seems like an easy question, but it's not. In our company, we have a lot of employees who believe there is no need for a boss. We work agile, we work self-organized. We don't need a boss. They are just doing boring meetings and complicated process nobody understands, right? And probably a lot of you think the same way. But on the other end of the spectrum, we have as well people who dream their whole life about inspiring leaders, like Steve Jobs was one. And he was not the easiest guy as a leader, right? A lot of people think he was a little bit a dictator, really clear in his opinion. And the challenge is, in our company, as well as you might understand, we have all these two extremes. And if I would ask you what you mean, for you it's pretty clear what you expect from your boss, but probably you will have a complete different opinion. So we have this variety of leadership expectations in every business, in every team, in every room. And this fact leads to a big problem. This leads to leadership profiles which are comparable with Swiss Army knives, right? 85 laser-sharp tools, and you can pull it out your pocket whenever you need. It's a little bit like MacGyver. For the younger people, MacGyver was a really famous hero, my TV hero at this time. So let's be honest, this kind of leadership profile, there is a classic business term for such ideas. Bullshit. The perfect leader will never exist. And so the biggest gift in our experience is that this constantly dialogue, this quality time we invest in a yearly basis, that leader prepare themselves and ask, what can we do for the company, what's really necessary and important to do, but as well employees are getting clarity about their real expectations. This dialogue is a very big gift for our culture. So I want to ask now you a little bit about your opinion on that, right? Because if I was in the coffee break and would have introduced me as an elected CEO, you probably would have think on a picture like man walking over fire or managers going out to the woods and hugging trees. Or probably you would have asked yourself, okay, that's working in a startup, like in a garage, where people smoke some joints and after that elect their bosses, right? But I'm now interested to hear your real feedback after listening to me. So who of you believes it's an interesting concept, but it will fail in business? Hands up, you can really be honest. Thank you very much, thanks as well. It's okay for me if you check your emails now. Who of you believes it's a great idea and so powerful that you will start next Monday, run elections in your team? Come on, guys, hands up. Wow. 20%, that's amazing, huh? Way over my expectations. And who of you believe it's very interesting, but we as a company or you as a company are miles or years away from this reality? Hands up. 50%, right? So now I have a surprising message for you all. You run elections already. Not only once a year like we do, you run elections day by day, 365 days a year. If your CEO is standing in front of you and outlining a strategy nobody understands or believes in, do you really think anybody will follow him? If your boss is asking an order from you and you don't think it's the right order, do you really execute on it? If you ask again and again, probably you will just do a little bit until he stops asking, but majority of the time you do what's necessary to do. So if elections are happening in the coffee corner, on the company floors, but as well on the water coolers, why can't we see them? And I want to end my speech with an insight out of 15 years of our own experiences. We have created a new map because we believe we have to see the things clearer, what's happening really in companies. First of all, the command and control way we all know very well. The org chart, where you can read who is the boss of whom and what's the job description. All the PowerPoints you can read with the process flow. That's important, right? But you only are successful as a company because of the huge shadow organization you have in place, where people drive their own ideas, driven by customer and markets. A lot of companies survived only because of that. Do you know who invented these Nespresso cups? Do you know it? It was not George Clooney. No, I'm sad as well about this. It was Mr. Favre. Mr. Favre was an engineer working for Nestle, and he was driven by the passion to bring Italian coffee to every household. He was working on these cups together with his wife at business, and he got fired for that. He got fired because he was not executing what the management wanted from him, instead of doing this crazy stuff with these cups. After he got re-employed, God thanks, I'm a coffee lover, he got almost fired the second time. But the CEO of Nestle appointed him to drive the business of Nespresso. And after George Clooney came and did a fantastic ad campaign, it was one of the biggest success in their company, happening in the shadow. But a lot of negative things are happening there as well. People go to sleep there. And people do probably as well things which are not good for the company. Just think about the big car companies. So managers can see this today, and CEOs as well. So they travel to the Silicon Valley to learn how to get more of this passion, more of this drive. So they travel there and analyze all the startups, and they come back, and after the jet lag is over, they ask their management team and all employees to open the cages. They cry out terms like design thinking, lean startup, pivoting, or agile. Probably you know these terms. But because we have not learned to work with such a freedom, the rituals, the methodologies, but as well the rules are missing, we get quite soon, especially the management, get quite soon quite overstrained. And probably you know this situation, everybody can say no, but nobody can say yes, and you get nothing to the ground. So in the future we will have much more of this network structure, of this self-organization. But now we have to admit that everything is present today. We have all this variety of different leadership style in the same company, probably in the same team. And now the problem. The way we work, the way we understand how our business runs, I call this the way our operating system works, is outdated. And not only products, not only managers, as well operating systems have an expiry date. And the time is clicking because we live in the biggest gap in history between what's happening outside, if you talk about innovation, disruption, change, but how little happens inside the organization, the way we work together, the way we understand management. So I want to start now my call to action. Dear TED people, let's start reimagine work. Let's start upgrading our operating system. It needs courageous people who are willing to fail and do some experiments to upgrade this. But if we manage to do so, we will have a much better future, we will have more fun, more happiness at work, and we will be more successful in the future. Thank you very much for your attendance.